Girl, the moment that courtroom door opened, you could feel it. The whole world shifted. Everyone froze. The bailiff's voice cracked through the silence like thunder. Jennifer Lopez, please approach the stand. Boom. Gasps. Shockwaves. It was like time stopped. The jury leaned in. The press outside went ballistic. And inside, dead. Silence. And then she appeared. Jennifer Lopez. But not the glammed up J-Lo we know from red carpets and Super Bowl stages. No. She walked in wearing a sleek charcoal gray suit, her eyes hidden behind sunglasses so dark they looked like armor. 2 federal marshals flanked her. She didn't smile. She didn't wave. She just walked with the kind of precision that comes from carrying secrets, heavy ones, for way too long. When she removed those shades and sat down, it was like everyone held their breath. The judge spoke calmly but firmly. Miss Lopez, you've been subpoenaed due to your documented history and close personal relationship with Mr. Combs. Do you understand the scope of your testimony? She nodded and whispered, I do. Baby, her voice was barely louder than a breath, but it hit like a bomb. And Diddy? For the first time since this whole circus started, he looked shaken, lips tight, fingers tapping like a ticking time bomb. Then came the fire. The prosecutor stepped up. Miss Lopez, you were present during the December 1999 nightclub shooting in New York with Mr. Combs, correct? Jennifer hesitated, blinked slowly, and said, yes. You were detained by NYPD but released. Do you recall what he said to you in the car afterward? More hesitation, silence that screamed. Then he told me not to speak to anyone, that his people would make it go away. Boom. That courtroom, you could have heard a pin drop. No one blinked, no one breathed. Then the prosecutor held up a file. Do you recognize this? Jennifer looked down, then nodded. That's the statement I gave the police, but it's missing pages. Exactly. Pages, the prosecutor said, that were allegedly sealed at Diddy's request. Diddy's lawyer jumped up like a hot stove was under him, yelling, objection, speculative. The judge, one word, overruled. Then came more. Do you recall a party at Mr. Combs' Miami mansion in summer 2001? The prosecutor asked. Jennifer blinked hard. Yes. Were phones allowed inside? No, they were taken at the gate. And what were guests told? They said it was for spiritual and creative renewal. And was that true? She swallowed. No. Please elaborate. Her words came slow, measured, like peeling a bandage from an old wound. And did Mr. Combs ask you to keep quiet about what you saw? She nodded. Yes. He said if I love my career, I'd keep those memories private. Girl, the jury stirred. This wasn't gossip anymore. This was survival. The prosecutor leaned in. And did you? Jennifer looked straight at Diddy, right into the eyes of the man who had once been her whole world, and said, yes, for 24 years, that number. 24 years. It just hung in the air, thick like smoke. You could see jurors blinking, trying to process the weight of it. This wasn't just about a bad night or some scandal. This was a woman who had carried silence like a second skin for more than 2 decades. The prosecutor continued, this time holding a red evidence folder. Ms. Lopez, let's talk about January 14th, 2000, less than a month after the shooting. We've obtained photos from a confidential source. These were captured by a private investigator hired in the early 2000s to monitor exclusive Hollywood parties. Your image appears in several of them. Do you recognize these? Jennifer took the photos. Her hands trembled, but she looked. One showed her seated next to Diddy on a leather couch. Another walking into a gated mansion, tense, stiff, her hand being held, not lovingly, but firmly. She nodded. Yes, that was the San Remo property. He didn't rent it under his name. Phones were banned. Everyone signed NDAs. I was told it was a business dinner. But it wasn't. What was it? The prosecutor asked. Jennifer looked down. It was an initiation. The gallery gasped. Even the judge sat straighter. An initiation into what? His inner circle, she whispered. The ones who got access, who got protection. But it came at a cost. There were rooms I wasn't allowed in. People disappeared for hours. And yes, there were drugs. Were minors present? Jennifer froze. I don't know their ages, she said, her voice cracking, but some of them looked too young. The courtroom erupted, shock, outrage, horror. Did you ever report this? The prosecutor asked gently. Jennifer shook her head. To who? At the time, he was untouchable. Backed by billionaires, producers, executives. If I spoke up, it would have been buried. And I would have been buried with it. Then came another gut punch. The prosecutor approached, holding a phone. We've recovered a voicemail from your former publicist cloud archive. Dated April 2003. Mr. Combs is heard threatening to release private videos if you left him. Do you recall this? Jennifer's eyes welled up. Yes, I told him I wanted to end everything. He said he had footage from nights I didn't even remember, that if I turned on him, I'd lose everything. Did that threat silence you? Jennifer's voice broke. It controlled me. Permission to play the voicemail, the prosecutor said. The judge gave a quiet nod. The courtroom darkened. The speakers hissed. Then Diddy's voice. Don't forget who helped you build your brand. I've got hours of tape. Walk away if you want, but don't walk too far. I'll make sure everyone sees what the superstar really looks like when the cameras are off. Dead silence. Jennifer didn't flinch. She sat tall, fists clenched. And then the prosecutor asked the question everyone was wondering. Why are you speaking now? Her answer? Because silence didn't save me. It only extended the pain. And if one person watching this is still scared of him, maybe me saying this gives them permission to stop being afraid. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Diddy sat hunched, his lawyer whispering frantically in his ear, but he didn't move, didn't react, because he knew this wasn't going away. Then came the final blow. The prosecution approached with a sealed envelope. The label, confidential. 2005 deposition video transcript. This, the prosecutor said, is a deposition given by Mr. Combs' former personal assistant, Alina Torres. She was under a legal gag order until 2024. Her NDA has now expired. She's authorized the release. The video began. It was grainy, dated, but the voice was clear. My name is Alina Torres. I worked for Sean Combs between 1998 and 2003. I was his executive assistant. She paused. Jennifer Lopez was different. She had her own brand that made her more valuable. If he could control her, it meant he could control anyone. She continued, her voice shaking. I saw messages. Tourette's? Her name appeared under special handling. I once heard him on a call saying, J-Lo's getting smart, remind her who built her stage. Then came the worst. I once delivered a hard drive labeled Angel Sessions. It was just footage from parties. She was in some of it. She never saw the cameras. None of them did. The screen went black. The courtroom was frozen. Everyone stared at Diddy. His hands were trembling. His face? Ashen. The prosecutor didn't say a word for several seconds. Then, Your Honor, we submit this as Exhibit 126. This isn't just about one man's misconduct. This is about decades of coercion, manipulation, and blackmail. Then she turned to Jennifer. Did he ever ask you to do something illegal? No, Jennifer said. But he didn't have to. Power doesn't always need to scream. Sometimes it's just a look, a whisper, a hallway conversation. And you know what it means? The defense attorney jumped in, trying to poke holes. You never filed a formal complaint. Why? Jennifer looked straight at him. Because the world didn't listen to women like me when I had less power. And when I had enough, I was trained to stay silent. And the courtroom felt that. You claim he manipulated you. Why not just walk away? You think I didn't want to? She snapped. Every day. But by the time I realized how deep it went, I was already part of it. It wasn't just one man. It was a system. Then came the redirect. What do you want your testimony to accomplish? The prosecutor asked. Jennifer didn't blink. I want the truth to matter. I want people to stop thinking silence means consent. And I want him to know I'm not afraid of him anymore. And then Diddy stood. The guards tensed. The room froze. But he didn't move. He just stared at Jennifer. But she didn't flinch. The judge's gavel rang through the room. Court is adjourned. The courtroom emptied slowly that day, but not because people wanted to leave. It was because no one wanted to move. No one wanted to break the weight of what had just happened. Jennifer Lopez had walked in as a witness, but she didn't just testify. She tore the mask off an empire of silence. And the next day, oh, honey, the city woke up different. From 5 a.m., reporters swarmed the courthouse steps. Protesters chanted. Former insiders whispered. Security doubled. There was a shift in the air, like the walls of power were finally starting to shake. Inside the courtroom, it was like walking into a funeral for everything Diddy had built. His legal team deflated, scattered. He sat at his table like a man waiting for the inevitable, no longer the puppet master, but the puppet whose strings had been cut. Jennifer returned, not to speak, just to observe. She didn't need makeup. She didn't need glam. She had already delivered her truth. She took her seat quietly, like a woman ready to watch the final domino fall. Then the judge entered. He didn't waste time. His voice was clear, solemn, and final. This court has reviewed the final audio and video materials admitted into evidence. It is the finding of this court that what has been revealed here today transcends celebrity and testimony. It is a systematic effort to silence, control, and intimidate. He turned toward the jury box. The testimony of Ms. Jennifer Lopez, corroborated by physical and digital evidence, paints a clear picture. For years, power shielded those who abused it. That protection ends today. Then, facing Diddy, the judge delivered the blow. Mr. Combs, you are hereby ordered to return for criminal proceedings. The evidence supports further investigation into witness intimidation, digital blackmail, and obstruction of justice. And girl, that was it. The gasp that echoed through the courtroom was louder than any verdict. Diddy didn't move. He didn't even flinch. He looked like a man whose past had finally caught up. It's like he knew the show was over. Jennifer? She stood slowly, no applause, no victory dance, just quiet, measured resolve, the kind of strength you can't fake. She had spoken her truth, and now the world had to catch up. As she walked past Diddy's table, she didn't look at him, but he sure looked at her. He looked at her like he was seeing a ghost, the ghost of his own reckoning. And then she walked down those courtroom steps. Alone, no bodyguards, no entourage, just her heels echoing with every step, sounding not like a retreat, but like liberation. Outside, the world was waiting, but not like before. No longer hungry for tabloid tea or scandal headlines. No, this crowd chanted in solidarity, in power, in truth. We believe you. Thank you, Jennifer. End the silence. And the cameras? Those cameras that had once followed Diddy like he was royalty, now turned to Jennifer. They didn't film her as a pop star or an actress or a red carpet queen. They filmed her as a woman who stood in the fire and chose to speak. And then, just as she was about to disappear into the crowd, a reporter shouted, "Jennifer, do you have anything left to say?" She stopped, turned back to the courthouse, her voice clear, unshaken, final. I'm not his silence anymore. And with that, she was gone into history, not as a bystander, not as a victim, but as the woman who tore down an empire of fear with nothing but her voice. And that, darling, is how Jennifer Lopez didn't just reclaim her truth, she became the spark that lit up every shadow Diddy tried to hide.